For my project, I chose to do Wells Fargo and them faltering in the face of an ethical dilemma. So, just a brief introduction of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is a financial services company based out of San Francisco, California. They were established in 1852, and Wells Fargo is the fourth largest bank in the United States, according to the Federal Financial Institutions Examination Council. And Wells Fargo now has over 8,000 branches worldwide. So, the scandal that Wells Fargo was a part of, um, Wells Fargo employees and the bank itself was caught creating millions of fake checking and savings accounts for their clients without their permission. The end goal being to meet lofty quotas and sales goals for bank personnel. These goals were not able to be achieved without corruption. And employees went as far as using their own contact information and changing people's PIN numbers to 0000 so that they could access the accounts and customers wouldn't be alerted of money being moved out of the existing accounts and into the newly created fake accounts. And Wells Fargo was caught when customers began to notice that there was fees and accounts that they weren't responsible for, like on their accounts. So obviously, Wells Fargo faced consequences for this. John Stumpf, their chief executive during the scandal, was forced to resign, and five senior executives were charged for their involvement in the scandal. And 5,300 employees and counting have been fired for their roles in the scandal. And Wells Fargo was forced to pay over $5 billion in fines to the SEC and other government regulatory agencies, and over $2 million in fees that was accumulated by these fake accounts had to be refunded to customers. And obviously, that's all monetary consequences, but also Wells Fargo suffered a reputation hit as well because of all this. So, the company's culture, basically, the unrealistic goals set by Wells Fargo wreaked havoc on the culture. Many employees became mentally and physically ill due to the stresses of having to meet these lofty goals. One former employee went as far as becoming addicted to hand sanitizer before eventually quitting Wells Fargo just due to panic attacks. And another employee checked herself into a hospital because she thought she was having a heart attack because she was so stressed. Wells Fargo was so focused on having a market culture and so focused on profit, profit, profit that they forgot about the human aspect of the job, that people can only do so much. And if you push them too far, then they're eventually going to break. And when it's any means necessary to achieve these goals or you get fired, things like this are going to happen. So, what went wrong at Wells Fargo? Well, upper management set goals that weren't attainable and weren't realistic for employees to open up more checking accounts, more savings accounts, and sell more credit cards and things like that. And also, employees controlled too many of the steps in the account creation procedure. And because of that, there was little to no oversight. So these employees could make these fake accounts and not suffer any consequences for it. And finally, ethics hotlines were said to either not respond to people or people who did call in would be fired. So when ethics hotlines don't protect whistleblowers, obviously no one's going to report ethics violations, and now you have a bunch of employees who are complicit in the wrongdoings. So hindsight is 2020, but you have to look back and you have to ask what could have been done differently to prevent all this. And I'm not going to pretend to know about the inner workings of a bank, but just some surface level things that could have been done was the process to open new accounts and access existing accounts was way too easy to be done by one person. So making this process harder or having more oversight and just adding more steps to the process could maybe deter an honest person who's just wanting to make sure they can reach their goals and just doing what everyone else was doing. Secondly, protecting whistleblowers is very important for an organization if you want to stop fraud and corruption. Because if you don't have a safe place, an anonymous place for people to speak openly, then no one's ever going to speak up about wrongdoings. Everyone's going to be complicit. And that's how fraud and corruption like this spread to over 5,300 employees. And finally, communication between like upper management and the non-managerial employees like has to improve. It should have been better because management's not going to know that these goals aren't achievable if every week, every month, people are turning in the sales numbers they're asking for by any means necessary. So increasing communication between management and employees to say, listen, these goals aren't achievable, we can't handle this, would probably go a long way in helping Wells Fargo be able to stop something like this from happening again.